It's Friday, November 12th, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. New teachers at some primary schools across Barbados are up in arms, having not been paid for months by the Ministry of Education. Some of them complained of not receiving a salary for between 3 to 10 months. Emmanuel Joseph has more.
Barbados Today has learned that the lack of an income has placed some of the educators in extreme hardship to the extent that their mortgage payments are in jeopardy. A teacher who asked not to be identified for fear of victimization said the talk in the schools is that the long delay in getting paid is the norm. When contacted, Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer Bradshaw admitted that from the time she took up office in August, she had been receiving these kinds of complaints. However, Dr. Archer Bradshaw sought to assure the teachers that the ministry was working urgently on resolving their pay issue. Asked if the payments would be made before Christmas, she said she could not say. Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
The opposition leader has taken government to task on its Safe Zones initiative. Bishop Joseph Atherley has also questioned whether government consulted with the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners on the intended move to relax the curfew. His comments comes on the heels of a call from BAMP's president, Dr. Linda Williams, for government to temporarily suspend its Safe Zones initiative until further meetings with shareholders.
As I said last week or week before, one has to wonder the extent to which government is listening to the voice of the medical professional opinion. It does not surprise me that government is now talking about relaxation, possibly of the curfews. There's pressure from the business sector, private sector. There's pressure inbuilt in the whole process because government wants to make sure that we get this tourism season off to a good start and that tourists being welcomed here have the opportunity to enjoy their stay. I don't know if you're going to want to have a situation where you have thousands of tourists coming into Barbados and you're telling them that they have to be in their hotel rooms by 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock when they come, and that bars must be closed and all kinds of stuff. So it is not surprising to me that it's talk about relaxing the curfew hours for the reason that there's going pressure from the private sector, particularly so the tourism sector. And the other considerations, I think that the government to believe that that's the way it must go at this time. And I always say, I maintain it, what we do when we have to make these decisions is that we should put always in first and priority position as a consideration the national health and well-being situation. Economics comes secondary, and certainly politics come way behind. We should be guided by what is in the best interest of national health. I do not know the extent to which the medical opinion is saying that we can relax these curfews at this time, but I suspect that it is the economic interest, particularly so the tourism sector-related interest, that is driving this. I also suspect that we need to have a good tourism season in order for government to feel that it's in the best position possibly to take some political decisions a couple of few months from now. I do not know the extent to which the medical opinion is saying that we can relax these curfews at this time, but I suspect that it is the economic interest, particularly so the tourism sector-related interest, that is driving this. I also suspect that we need to have a good tourism season in order for government to feel that it's in the best position possibly to take some political decisions a couple of few months from now.
Bishop Atherley maintained that major decisions such as these should be made with the best possible advice and with the interests of Barbadians at heart. Vaccine hesitancy could result in another 18 to 24 months of the COVID-19 pandemic. That's the view of President of the Barbados Dental Association, Dr. Vidya Amogan. He believes that there may be a need to change the message as a means of reaching persons who are hesitant when it comes to being vaccinated against the virus in a bid to move the country forward.
Yes, the government is doing a fabulous job in trying to get through to these people, but we also need to look at changing that message because we're obviously not penetrating that last group of people. And whatever it takes on this side, whether private initiatives or public initiatives, we as a group, as a society, need to get there. The longer we take, though, to get our society vaccinated, the longer it will take for schools to get back in place, workplaces to start moving efficiently, and we'll have suboptimal performance in every sector in Barbados. And we need to understand that, because that's going to affect our cost of living, that's going to affect how much people are in isolation facilities, loans that we're taking out to feed them, do laundry, provide security, and whatever in these facilities. And that's costing us, the taxpayers, money. Poorer countries, unfortunately, they have two issues. They cannot get vaccines on the one hand, and they have vaccine hesitancy on the other hand. So we have this problem around the world where a lot of the poorer nations are not getting vaccinated. The longer they take to get vaccinated, the more variants we're going to have popping up. The more variants we have popping up, the vaccines may not work effectively against those variants. So we go back into this tailspin where COVID is likely to be with us for another 18 to 24 months.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Hi, my name is Michelle Thompson. I'm a visually impaired person. I am also a member of the National United Society of the Blind of Barbados. I am vaccinated. I took the vaccination due to the fact that I am diabetic, I'm asthmatic, and I also have high blood pressure. I had no side effects. Everything went calm and smooth, as my doctor said it would go. Please, people, go ahead and do the right thing.
Let's roll up our sleeves and get back to living.
The news from the region now. Health officials in St. Lucia are urging residents not to become complacent amid the COVID-19 pandemic during the holiday season. The details of that story from HTS News Force.
A moment of silence at the inaugural meeting of the COVID-19 Management Center was held in memory of the victims of COVID-19 and the families racked by anguish at the death of their loved ones during the pandemic. The Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, shared lessons learned in the management of the most deadly wave thus far on island. The CMO raised concerns over the ongoing situation as the country faces the impending festive season.
From a public health point of view, I'm not pleased with having such a high baseline, especially for us now going into December, which is our highest risk month. We should not start the month with a high level of active cases, which is a high risk month. The capacity for a massive wave in January will overwhelm our health system. So we need to keep the active cases below this, especially as we go into one of our highest risk months.
And finally, new findings indicate the food crisis in the Democratic Republic of the Congo shows little signs of abating and could worsen in the coming months without scaled-up assistance. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the World Food Programme, in their latest Integrated Food Security Phase Classification Analysis, also warned that some 27 million people, that's 1/4 of the DRC's population, face crisis or emergency acute food insecurity conditions.
These figures are a wake-up call. Just now it feels like we're bailing a leaky boat. We need to all come together to do more, but differently, so that we can set this country on the future that it deserves.
That was World Food Programme Country Representative and Country Director Peter Musuko. That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.